Oh, Tyler, you have really outdone yourself this time. Yep. Finally, you don't look like a complete moron on YouTube. It's nice. It's very nice. Elvis. Because I love you too much, baby. Thank you very much. After all of my recent explosive automotive setbacks, you know, the Ferrari exploding. Oh, jeez. The Porsche engine going out at the track again. Garbage. I can't believe it happened again. I certainly needed a win. Otherwise, I would just move back into my parents' basement and play video games for the rest of my life. Now, thankfully, I finally got a win on an old V12 German convertible that was literally held together by duct tape. This car. I know, I'm just as surprised as you. In just a few short months since purchasing my 1997 Mercedes SL600, it's been transformed into a total stunner, and sorting it out costs way less than I thought. That never happens. And if you don't want to sit through a whole video of me making bad jokes, linked below is an article on autotrader.com/oversteer where I add up all the cost of fixing this SL600. Now, I didn't go into this purchase totally blind, as I actually briefly owned this car several years ago. This was during my dealer days with my gold jewelry and sport coats. Despite how much I loved this SL600, I was in the business of selling cars to put food on the table. I proved not to be very good at this, and my hoarding tendencies made it a failing business. It failed badly. But in this instance, I actually sold this car for a profit to a lifelong friend who ended up barely driving the car. Other than catching the bumper on the curb and almost ripping it off, it's almost like the car was left in a time capsule, and then he sold it back to me for less than half of what I sold it for. What a deal! At only $5,000, I once again owned a flagship of the Mercedes line, a car praised for its perfect blend of classic themes converging with modern appointments, and despite the duct tape, it was still a low-mileage, decently clean example. Conservatively rated at 389 horsepower back in the day, this was the first Mercedes convertible ever offered with a V12 engine, and the smoothness of the powertrain was somehow matched by the magical hydraulic suspension system. This generation of SL also touted a huge list of new comfort and safety features, which makes it feel like a practical modern car even today, 20 years later. Whew, this purchase may seem like a rare moment of brilliance on my part. Oh, look at that leather and wood. Oh, but actually the worst thing you can do with an old Mercedes is let it sit. At least in my experience, long periods of lack of use causes more problems than daily driving. And this SL600 certainly didn't benefit from its long slumber. In addition to the battery going flat, the hydraulic suspension collapsed, the worn brakes rusted over, and the tires were ruined. In addition, the soft top was left down for years, and the hydraulic system seemed too weak to pull the canvas top back up to the closed position. Bummer. Sounds expensive. Now, the soft top was the most concerning part of this car, because not only do you want a top that works, because it could rain any minute right now, also it's really expensive to fix. It's a hydraulic system that I've had to deal with in the past. In my dealer days, I had to deal with these hydraulic soft tops quite a bit, and the last time I went through the system, it was $2,000. Now, what usually happens is one component fails catastrophically and starts leaking everywhere. Sometimes it can be the one right up above your head, and it'll squirt all over you hydraulic fluid, all over your body. It's not a pretty scene, but sometimes it's back in the top, and you can't just fix that one part, because if you fix that one, then the next weakest link will probably go. So you usually have to take out all, I don't remember if it's 14 or 16 hydraulic actuator items and have them all rebuilt. That's why it costs $2,000 to take apart the top, send them all off to get rebuilt and sent back. Now, I was expecting to have to do this on my car, but I got really lucky. My mechanic, the Car Wizard, was actually able to revive this system using a little bit of his ingenuity and a lot of lube. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Yes. Thank you, baby. So it's now all working again, and it only set me back $180. Way, way better than the $2,000 I was expecting. Super lucky. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, before taking delivery of this car, the previous owner was kind enough to put a new battery in it for me. And after he started it and ran the car for a while, the hydraulic suspension was collapsed. It finally got enough pressure to build back up again. But I noticed in my inspection that the dipstick for that reservoir of the hydraulic fluid for the suspension was really low. Also, when I was driving it, it felt really stiff and bouncy, like I was in a lumber truck. Now, this points to the hydraulic accumulators failing, and what they do is they collect the hydraulic fluid when you go over bumps. As the shocks compress, that hydraulic fluid has to go somewhere, and it goes into this little spherical shaped device. Now, I dealt with this problem many times before with old Mercedes. It's a really common problem, so I had the wizard go to work on it. I actually got one of the balls out myself. The whole thing for the front accumulators cost me $570. Pretty expensive, but obviously could be much, much worse. The rest of the hydraulic suspension system is doing fine. This thing's super smooth. Oh. Not quite where my Rolls Royce is in smoothness, but still really good. And things only got cheaper from there, as I did replace all 4 rotors and brake pads, and that only cost $470. Really not bad for a Mercedes. The AC system, all it needed was a simple recharge. That never happens, but it's held its charge. It's blowing ice cold air right now. That was only $100. And then the only leak in the entire car from the little hydraulic line, all it needed was a new copper washer. Take the line off, new washer, put it back on. That was $70, or actually $60. I'm looking at my notes down here. So that's it. That's it. The car's totally mechanically sorted for whatever it was. Carrying, I can't do math, so I'm just going to have the little numbers over here. But according to my notes, that means I'm $6,380 into this car to have it mechanically sorted 100%, except for the tires. The tires were pretty ruined. And it certainly didn't look the part of being a flagship Mercedes with that duct tape and the damage to the door and the bumpers and those wheels. Needed to come up, because this car is so elegant. It's such a timeless design. Bruno Sacco really outdid himself with this car, and there's no mistaking it for anything but a Mercedes, unlike the new ones that look like everything else. They look like a Camry, but this one was looking pretty ghetto, I'll admit. Since I had saved so much on the mechanical repairs and I needed new tires anyway, I decided to treat the car to some AMG Aero monoblock wheels. Prices on these have actually doubled since I last remembered shopping for them, as I ended up spending $2,000 on these freshly refinished 18-inch staggered set, and another $800 to have tires mounted and balanced to them. It certainly hurt spending that much on a set of wheels, but I definitely felt like it was worth it the moment I saw them mounted to the car. Just look at it. While the period correct wheels completely transformed the look of my SL600, it still had its warts from the curb hit in the front bumper, as well as some paint damage to the passenger door and rear bumper. Thankfully, the car's black, which makes painting individual panels easy, and there's... Shut up, bird! Now, refinishing 3 of these panels cost $700. Not bad. And the final buff and interior detail cost another $100. And now I have a showroom fresh looking SL. Very snazzy. With the wheels and paint repair added to the mechanical repairs, I ended up nearly doubling my investment with $4,980 spent. Still, even at $10,000 all in, it's way less than any comparable SL600 available on Autotrader.com, and I expect it would now easily fetch $14,000 as it sits. Now, I just have to decide whether I want to keep it or not. My stable is pretty crowded, especially with old Mercedes, but if I was going to keep one more, I can't think of anything better for the price. Nope. It's lovely. It's lovely. Thank you for watching. Total up the wins. At the SL600, that was a win. The $200 Lexus, that was a win. The Buick, I'd call the Park Avenue a win. I mean, yeah, but losses, oh boy, yeah.